There is a lot of work being done to help people who have served time in prison to build a life when they get out, to find guidance and success in order to cut down on the rate of repeat offenders. And in Detroit, there's an organization called Luck, Inc., and it was formed by a group of men who all served time together and who are uniquely understanding and qualified to help people with the challenges that they face. One Detroit producers, Bill Kubota and Will Glover, bring us this story as part of Chasing the Dream, Poverty and Opportunity in America, which is an ongoing public media reporting initiative.
Actually, I'm meeting with a person who's recently released from the Michigan Department of Corrections. He's on tether, he's on parole. The client who's coming, the parolee who's coming, his cousin reached out. The city fried chicken with some gravy. It's real good. Yeah, y'all hungry? It's on me, man. You sure? Whatever you want, man.
Mario Bueno co-founded a nonprofit company, helping people just released from prison get their bearings. The people who get out, they're called returning citizens. Bueno? He's a returned citizen, too.
I did 19 years from the age of 16, right? I was in 16 different prisons. I was kicked out of 9 of them, you feel me? I got locked up. When I got locked up, I was robbing and hurting drug dealers. That's just what I was doing back in '95.
Bueno's company contracts with other Detroit public agencies, providing services to those in need, and returning citizens need plenty, finding food, housing, jobs, and often basic life counseling.
I need to understand who he thinks he is to understand where he's going. Before you got locked up, what were you doing besides what you was doing? I'm talking about like education-wise. How far have you gone?
I did some college.
Some college before you got locked up? It's challenging belief systems, believe it or not. But it's more effective to do it on a one-on-one. You gotta wake up every day with the attitude, you know what, I'm blessed and I'm favored and look at what I got and let's get it. Even when you don't feel like it, ain't about feelings. After every feeling, there ain't. After every principle, there's a promise. You get up every day and start knocking at those goals, you're gonna manifest it, all right? So that's the first thing you're gonna do. You're gonna write down your long-term goals. And that's gonna be on this blue board. This, you starting out like this, because that's how I started. I started out with 1 board. You starting out with 2. Because this green one is signified for growth. This is your short term. You ain't gonna grow and make it to blue, to your heaven, unless you grow. So this is short term.
Bueno will meet with his new client again to help him find financial aid to continue college. In the meantime, they're working together to get him a steady job.
So what's up? Any questions? This food's good though, isn't it? So that is the 18th engagement day for U of M.
In downtown Detroit, a staff meeting for Bueno's operation, Luck Inc. Everyone here has done time. Drugs, assault, murder. Added up, 2.5 centuries behind bars served by the men at this table. The core of the crew trained together at a state penitentiary in Jackson, Michigan, learning how to become better men, a program led by Luck Inc. co-founder Rick SPECK.
I had a phenomenal team of men that were willing to go to the furthest lengths to succeed in the criminal world, right? And now they're pushing those same limits, but it wasn't for the criminal world, but we had administration and staff there that began to support us and believe in us. And so we were able to launch this, you know, to something bigger than any of us honestly had dreamed.
And the program was aimed at taking the most influential men from the prison yard, not for the better. Those men who had influence for the worse, and transform the way they think, the way they view themselves, and invariably the world around.
When we were all inside, we all did different training. We were part of a group, and we all trained each other. In time, we all became trainers. So it was internalized. It was inside us.
We understood the model that we created inside would be truly beneficial on the outside. So we came up with LUCK, which stands for Leaders Under Correct Knowledge.
Luck Inc.'s Cameron Colts, along with Rick SPECK and Ron Webb, are working their other day job. They own a construction company, income that supports the operation's bottom line.
We do a lot of commercial and residential remodeling. You know, when we have opportunities, we grab some returning citizens, put them to work, try to find out their skill set and where they're headed in life.
The group nurtures an entrepreneurial attitude. A lot of employers won't hire people who've been to prison, so these returning citizens began enterprising for themselves. Detroit's a spread-out city. A lot of people can't afford cars, so Luck Inc.'s MELVIN DALTON started his own transportation service.
It's hard. You gotta do what you gotta do to stay out here. I I'm trying to do something right with my life. People just gotta know that I'm out here and I'm reliable.
Dalton, age 61, went to prison at 18, spending 42 years behind bars. He got out a year ago.
And I thought everything was gonna be so easy, but when I came home, I cried. Because it was nothing like I thought it was gonna be. The family that I had before I went to prison, I didn't have no more. I didn't have no support system. I didn't have nothing when I come home. For the first month I was at home, I didn't know what I was gonna do. You know, I was just so angry a couple of nights since I've been home. And I called on them, and guess what? All of them was there like lightning. I got a support group in them. In Luck Inc., I found a family in them, you know? And I love them. And it's simple as that.
In the southwest part of town, the Detroit School of Digital Technology has an alliance with Luck Inc. This small college is returning citizen friendly, where 68-year-old Walter Riley, who spent 50 years behind bars, now works security. And it's here Zeke Moore, a former drug dealer, now Luck Inc.'s media director, is finding his future.
They didn't have computers and cameras. We didn't have access to all that on the inside. So when I came out, I didn't know how to use a computer. I didn't know what Wi-Fi was. I didn't understand the concept of it. So I was blessed to get gifted a camera, and from there I just went out and started teaching myself. And sure enough, along the way I steady picked up skills, and they end up hiring me, having me come in like 3 days out the week to teach the students what I've learned hands-on.
So we can get this popping, honestly. Could you pass this out? Take one and pass it on?
Mario Bueno's at the technology school too, working his other day job as a motivational speaker. He talks to at-risk youth in schools, but he's here hosting a series of weekly self-help videos for the web, targeting returning citizens.
Okay, say something again.
Hello, can you hear me? I want to be able to not only touch the ones who are exactly in front of me, but touch and help reform and reshape those who are maybe miles away, thousands of miles away. You guys are a unique breed. You guys are a population that has already suffered and understands that through that suffering, I get strength.
Luck Inc. has worked with hundreds of returning citizens in the past 3 years, many of them among the hardest cases referred to them by service providers. Bueno estimates a success rate of at least 80%, while statewide numbers are closer to 70, where returning citizens won't go back to prison.
How good am I at adapting, regardless of what happens?
He's trying to get a better read on how well his operation is doing, because now there's interest from more agencies, like the Catholic Church and State Department of Corrections. So expansion plans could be coming, with more returning citizens to be hired and trained to help other returning citizens.
Right, so that's practical problem solving.
You realize that there's probably 9,000 annually released to Michigan, and about a third of those men and women come to this city alone. So what are we doing to welcome these men and women home?
Now we're starting to humanize these guys. We're starting to see that they're actually people, and sometimes they are victims themselves. Hurt people. So if I never was able to process or deal with the hurt I was receiving, I'm gonna try to figure out how to survive. And sometimes that survival comes by inappropriate means.
The last 3 years of my incarceration, I became a model citizen. And it wasn't by happenstance. It was by fellowship. It was by peer mentoring that actually passed on skills and tools that would allow me to first resolve the conflict within, and then invariably the external conflict that we face every day.
Every time I went to prison and came home, I was worse. I was a worse person. Why? Because I learned more about crime from who? From criminals. Because that's who I was around. And it wasn't until this last time where this opportunity came to do better, be better, that I grabbed it like my life depended on it, because it did. Because today at 47 years old and having 18 and a half years of incarceration, I don't want to go back to that. I don't have to go back to that. I'm a bigger solution to my community today than I was a problem.
Wow, what a story, and we'll continue to follow Luck Inc. as they hopefully expand. For more stories from One Detroit, just head to our website at MiWeek.org.